Hello YouTube, hello self-isolators, hello social distancers or socially distant, hello to you all. Be quarantine, downlocked, greetings all. As we enter what will undoubtedly go down in the history of euphemisms as a difficult time, I have a duty to help, to the best of my ability, by injecting into the proceedings some mirth, some levity, and a soft, gooey core of information wrapped in a crunchy wafer of sarcasm coated with dark, chocolatey gallows humour, or, as I call it, humour. Well, anyway, a little video to lift the spirits, right? It's about optimism in those times. It's about seeing the supermarket shelves as half full rather than half empty. Still, it's difficult to be relaxed and funny in those times, but I will try. I will also try not to make it too dark, but let's face it, all humours is gallows humours, because when we laugh in the final analysis in the face of death. And we should, because I'm translating Pierre Desproges here, but death themselves, death is gender neutral, they use the pronoun they, death themselves laugh in our faces. So, right off the bat, let me remind you, I am not a doctor and that my opinions are tautologically mine and do not represent those of the MS Trust. They wish. Speaking of them, who do visit the page they have on the C word with advice specific for PWMs, people with MS. Okay, what I've taken away from the page is that we're fine. We're the PWMs, but do check the advice about your specific DMT treatment or drug, disease-modifying thing, which when you think about it is a bit weird because all medicine is disease-modifying, right? Like, I mean, if your drug doesn't modify your disease, what good is it? Is it a recreational drug? No, I mean, anyway, yeah, do check the advice pertaining to your specific DMD because this is where the increased risk is, as small as it may be. It's not huge, and in fact it may still very well be worth the benefit to continue or even start a DMD treatment, because I mean, who wants a relapse during a quarantine, right? Quarantine during a pandemic. Yeah, that's much more reassuring as a word, right? However, I mean, we're fine, we're ultimately fine, give or take DMD, but we are also helpfully classified as most vulnerable, along with the elderly and, the most vulnerable. So it's worth, to put it bluntly, to milk it for all it's worth. Ooh, a bit of sun there. I'm blind now. Supermarkets, for instance, they have maybe a dedicated lane or a specific time for this group, so it means grocery shopping is less of a nightmare. Also, do make sure your employer knows it, that you're in the most vulnerable group. That means that your employer needs to know that you have MS. I was considering making a video about disclosure of MS to one's employer, but I don't think there's much of a video to be made because yes, you should tell them. They should know. So make sure your employers knows it, and they should make, they have a duty of care. They should make reasonable adjustments and so on, because they should also know that as a person with MS, if you have MS, if you're watching the channel and don't have MS, good on you. You're learning a lot. So if you're a person with MS, you are considered legally disabled from the day of the diagnosis, regardless of any physical or visible disability as measured by the EDSS and things like that. So that's kind of important. So that's under the Disability Act 2010. It's kind of important because it's helpful to recognize the invisibility of the symptoms of MS. I mean, look at me. A friend of mine describing it said as those very kind words about the video I made for the Mouth for MS, saying, "Oh, but you look completely normal," which, I mean, is exactly, I was chuffed, because it's exactly the look I was going for. I actually, like, verbatim asked my barber, say, "Can you just make me look completely normal?" And that worked. Clearly I don't sound completely normal all the time. Okay, so milk it for all it's worth, you're most vulnerable, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I've taken from the page. If you are self-isolating, you're not alone, ironically. Now, this might not be obvious from my histrionics and attention-seeking endeavors, but I am, at heart, a massive introvert. This is heaven for me right now. Staying at home, no gathering of more than 2 people, empty streets, closed shops, no one is coming any closer than 6 feet. I mean, I am both literally and metaphorically right at home. So, and it's for the others I feel sorry, truth be told. My friends and my family, they're all checking in, inquiring about my welfare, because suddenly, presumably, they see how hard it can be, but it's pretty much have been living for the past 5 years, social distancing. So I'm fine, if anything. I mean, if anything, it's them getting in touch, all those kind of casuals and amateurs of newbies of self-isolation who kind of get in touch to get the social thing, that is a bit annoying because it eats into my me time. I don't have time for all of this. I want to be on my own. I want to isolate. Lastly, I think that us Plums, in a way, bear with me on that one, it's a bit tenuous, but we all has an advantage because civilization is going to go through, or is starting to go through, the kind of traumatic change that mirrors what happens in the individual with an MS diagnosis. Now, of course, I might be, seeing it from my point of view and projecting, but there's something archetypal. It's sort of everything is going to be different, and yet at the same time, nothing will change, and it will be for the worst. And we will look back upon the days of before as before, and this sounds very, very familiar to someone with MS. So I think we're kind of at an advantage here. But, I will only speak about the first bit in this video, and as for the other two, or the other two topics, there might be a single other video, they will be on my channel, they will be on my channel where I am not bound by the sense of restraint and decorum that comes with the honor of wearing the shirt. Tips and tricks from Will to work, live, laugh, love from home. It basically boils down to four things: mind, body, space, time. Start with the basics. So take care of your mind, take care of your body, structure your space, structure your time. Okay, it's never been a better time to start a meditation practice. I hear some meditation apps have gone free during the lockdown. Plenty of stuff has gone free during the lockdown. Take advantage of it, for sure. Although I will say, in my opinion, if you need an app to sit down and do nothing for, 20, 10, or even 2 minutes, then I'll say you're on the right path, but maybe you're in the wrong vehicle. Also, a good time to start a journal or a diary. I've never known what the difference, if there is a difference between the two words, but it's. I mean, down the line, having a chronicle of those days will be precious. You can even be the next Anne Frank. Speaking of journaling, dream journaling, that's interesting. That's pretty cool if you want to get into dreams and get into the universe of dreams. That improve dream recall, and just during those times of crisis, the unconscious often comes to the surface. It's going to send symbols and big dreams and archetypal stuff, and some of you probably have had dreams about the pandemic already, I'm sure. Now, okay, for the body. At the time of recording, we can still go out in parks. I'm about to do just that very shortly. And thankfully the weather is nice. I mean, England, nice. As nice as it could be. I don't cycle, but I imagine it must be quite nice with the streets being empty. The air is already feeling a lot cleaner. Then there's home exercising. So if you've got just the floor, a wall, a chair, without any free weights or anything, very little equipment, maybe a mat. A mat is helpful. And yoga, aerobics, this kind of stuff. The MS Trust has got plenty of video on their YouTubes about that. Some of them involve Mr. Motivator. I mean, Mr. Motivator, you're gonna love Mr. Motivator. I'm a child of the 90s, and even though I wasn't in Britain in the 90s, I know of Mr. Motivator. To me, he is the embodiment of nominative determinism, because if you are called motivator, if you were born latest in line in the motivator family, then you're going to grow up to be the kind of person who motivates people. And also he's wrapped in day-glow lycra, which adds a nice little touch. The 90s were a heady time. Then, okay, that was mind and body. Number 3, structure your space. You need to, if you're going to start working from home, I remember it was very difficult for me the first couple of months working from home. Because as an introvert, you're like, oh, that's fantastic, I get plenty more time, like all of my commute time has gone away, I can do chores around the house, I can go walking, I can go and meditate. But then also I realized that all of my social needs the way my social needs were being met was all for interaction with people at work and water cooler moments and so on. So bear in mind there's plenty of technology so that you can, when people go remote, they start organizing a whole bunch of video calls. They're much more meeting with remote people than they are when you work in the same office, because a large reason those meetings happen is to fulfill that social need. But it's important to have some discipline when you work from home, so that you separate, you have a dedicated space for work that is kind of like your office, your home office. Ideally you'd have a study, but it has to be maybe its own corner of the bedroom, the kitchen table even, provided you kind of lock it down and don't do anything else there, so that you separate in your mind the space that's associated to work from the space that's the rest of your home. And similarly, all the tips, get dressed before you work, and do not work from your bedroom, let alone from your bed. Think of it as an elegant way of tricking your primate brain into associating certain places with certain activities. You're not helping the same primate brain, particularly if the primate brain has MS, if you sleep and work in the same place. It's going to get confused, right? Okay, so make sure the place in which you work is free of clutter. I'm ashamed to. I mean, this one is pretty good, but that's not the place where I work. Although I have been known to work there sometimes. But the studio, I'm ashamed to admit that the pile of miscellaneous racks and boxes you see in the background of some of my video at the back of my studio is still, to this day, still haunting this particular corner of the studio. And I suspect it's not helping my creativity, but I am working on it. Watch this space. It has to be clean, it has to be tidy. You don't have to go full Marie Kondo, but just, it's not, you can't work in a messy room. And also everyone likes to actively procrastinate, saying, oh, I just tidy up before I start working. Well, leverage that so that you can tidy up. Smells. Smells are also an interesting way of kind of tricking your brain. You could have some smells associated to work and some associated to your home time. So try scented candles, incense, things like that. Finally, structure your time. Don't let home life and work life seep into each other time-wise, just like you've not let them seep into each other space-wise and attention-wise. So segment things. I mean, the benefit of working from home is that you can take breaks to do home chores, but like make sure that you know when. Like you can say, okay, I'm going to work until 11, I'm going to take half an hour break with a cup of tea, like do a bit of vacuuming, whatever, but like plan it out. That helps. There are apps that help, although the apps are more for routine, but it's really just don't, like work 9 to 5 means that you actually start work at 9, dressed in your work clothes, at your desk, maybe even with your shoes on, psychological. And then at 5, you close down the laptop, you turn it off, you put the, hopefully you don't have a work phone because those things are toxic, and then you start your home life. So yeah, there was Will's tips and tricks to thrive and survive. Let's see which we can do. Aim for one, and hopefully the other will at least be achieved. So remember, take care of your mind. That's the most important thing. There will be another video about fear, about how we're going to cope with the fundamental existential change we're all going to have to go through. Yeah, that's a big topic. That's good. Yeah, it's a good content, bro. Sweet 10 for the tube. So first important mind, but also the body. Try, although the gyms are closed and accessing outside is a bit more difficult, do not neglect the body, because deconditioning is a killer. And then structure your space and structure your time. I've given them to you in that order, but it's no particular order, because those are, two dimensions, the mind-body axis and the space-time thing, and all of the directions of those dimensions. So, well, I'm not quite ready to write the self-help book yet, but I hope this video has been, say it selfishly, helpful. Please visit the MS Trust website for more information. Please visit and perhaps even subscribe and like my channel for videos that are even less prepared and even more rambling than this one. I hope to see you there very, very soon. Don't forget to wash your hands, stop touching your face, stop touching other people's faces, they like it even less. I have been Will Berard, and that was Will Talks COVID-19.